Hey guys and gals, it's your boy Spud here, and welcome to Enjoy Life Music, where we talk about everything music related in Japan and Korea and Asia. Sometimes. Mostly Japan. Anyway, as you can see, this is a completely different space from the last time I made a video. Yeah, I'll make a video explaining my situation later, but in the meantime, this will be our new setting for now. But anyway, I digress. This week we will be talking about Ayaka, one of my personal favorite singers, not as great as Utada Hikaru, but she's still up there. And once again, this will be a part 1 video, considering Ayaka's history is fairly long, so let's split it into 2. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive on in. It's been a long time since I've done that. Let's go. Ayaka was born on December 18, 1987 in Moriguchi, Osaka. Like most future singers, Ayaka loved singing as a child and was influenced heavily by her mother's love of Western music. Growing up, she often listened to the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and the Backstreet Boys. So basically, 2 out of the 3 musicians she listened to was really good. I mean, let's face it, the Beatles suck. And then when she was in middle school, she announced to the world that she would become a singer. Alright, well, maybe not the world, more like her classmates and her teacher and her parents. But you get what I'm saying. In the summer of 2003, when Ayaka became a first-year high school student, she started a band with her friends and did lots of live performances in her hometown. During that time, her band did covers of popular artists such as Dreams Come True and Mr. Children. Now, Ayaka's band didn't limit themselves to one genre. They explored a little bit of everything. There was obviously the pop side, there was the R&B, and heck, they even did jazz. They even performed their own version of Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon. The goal for them was to play songs that they enjoyed. While gaining experience as a musician, she decided that she was ready to take things to a whole new level. She wanted to create her own songs. Of course, creating your own song, that's easier said than done. For Ayaka, she was able to create a melody, but something was still missing. And now I'm paraphrasing, but she said something along the lines of, making a melody wasn't much of an issue. It was generally pretty easy, but the problem was she was unable to convey emotion and feeling compared to other artists that she would listen to. It was then at that time a friend introduced her to Nishio Yashihiko, a music producer for Ongaku Voice. In May of 2004, after Ayaka had become a second-year student, every weekend she would travel from Osaka to Fukuoka just to attend this Ongaku-juku. Now for those who don't know Japan's geography, going from Osaka to Fukuoka one way takes 4 hours, and that's by Shinkansen. So with the commitment she was making to her music, it was only a matter of time that she would move to Fukuoka. And that's exactly what she did. At this time, moving to Tokyo for her music started to become more likely, and that's when she started to write her lyrics for Mikazuki. The song's message conveys her feelings on the memories of her friends and family. Very simple, but sweet song. While she was making gains to move to Tokyo, Ayaka created a demo tape, and it got into the hands of many music producers and music companies and labels around Tokyo. And she was very popular with all of them. Many of these music labels were fighting over who would win her. And at the end of the day, there can only be one winner. Although there were some exceptions in this case, for Ayaka there were 2 winners. Ayaka had signed with K-On! And Warner Music Japan as a group effort. On June 2006, as a third-year student, she moved to Tokyo for her big music debut. In December, Mikazuki, the song that she had written, was used as a theme song for the NHK show called Tsunagaru Terebi Human. Now y'all know I love my Japanese dramas, but slow your roll. this isn't actually a Japanese drama. It was more of a show talking about Japanese sports. It was just a news channel, basically. And after her debut, as you guys can guess, the rest was history. Ayaka has remained relevant in the music industry ever since her debut. So, let's take a look at her life post-debut. But before we get into that, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. As you know, making these videos does take a lot of time and research, and with these artists being Japanese, most of the articles I look at are written in, well, Japanese. So that requires me to do a lot of translating and making sure everything kind of flows properly in English. So once again, I appreciate the like and subscribe and, comment, that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's continue with the video. In 2006, Ayaka had released her new single, I Believe.
I believe myself 信じることで全てが始まる気がするの
This song was used for the Japanese drama Rondo, and I actually haven't seen this drama.
NANI?!
Ayaka went on to release Real Voice and a re-recorded version of Mikazuki. The funny thing about this was, during this time, Ayaka was supposed to release her debut album, First Message, but it was canceled. Or, not canceled per se, but rather pushed. It was later released in November, and sales were actually pretty decent, selling over 350,000 copies in its first week, and remaining second on the Oricon chart for 2 weeks. On a personal note, this was the time when I was introduced to Ayaka. Moving to 2007, Ayaka had done a collaboration with another talented musician named Kubokuro, and they released a song called Winding Road. Now, this was one of the many collaborations that Kubokuro and Ayaka did with each other. Well, I wouldn't say many, but they did a few songs together. And it makes a lot of sense considering Ayaka and Kubokuro were under the same music label at that time. We also had a couple of other releases throughout the year. We had Jewelry Day, which was the ending theme for the movie Last Love, and Y, which was used for the ending theme of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Now, this is actually my second favorite song from Ayaka. And I'm gonna admit I'm being a little biased because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. So if you combine Final Fantasy and Ayaka, it just equals perfection. In 2008, Ayaka released her next single, Teo Tsunago / Ai no Utao. In other words, it was a double-sided single. I mean, technically speaking, if there are two songs that are new, it's not really a single, but I mean, that's a topic for another day. Anywho, in May, she released her second single, Okaeri, which was used for the drama Zettai Karashi. And I actually did see that. I mean, I don't remember much about the drama. All I remember is there is this girl who was looking for the kanpeki karashi, in other words, like perfect boyfriend, and there was something about like robots or androids, I think, and they were like these pretty boys or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. All I remember are the dudes being very pretty. But it was a different time. Everybody was using Gatsby, and they all had that weird layered wet hair look. Regardless, it apparently worked for Ayaka because she ended up dating Mizushima Hiro, who is actually one of the stars of Zettai Karashi. And it turns out they ended up getting married. Ai, subarashii ne. In the second half of 2008, Ayaka released her second album, Sing to the Sky, on June 25th, and a second collaboration single with Kubokuro titled Anatato. Now we have some sad news. Shortly after Ayaka's marriage, on April 22, 2009, she publicly announced her diagnosis of Graves' disease. And for those who don't know what Graves' disease is, it's an autoimmune disorder that attacks your thyroid, which, in other words, is found in your neck. And yes, I know it's incredibly ironic, almost anime level ironic. You know, it actually reminds me of this anime of this girl who wanted to become a singer, but she couldn't become a singer because she had like throat cancer. Well, maybe not cancer, but she had some kind of throat disease. And then later on, she was able to become a singer with the help of her friends who were Shinigami, and they turned this 12-year-old girl into a 17-year-old, and then she became a singer. Anyway, the name of the show was Furu Moon o Sagashite, and I have completely gone off topic. So let's focus back on Ayaka. Because of her disease, she announced that she would be taking an indefinite hiatus at the end of the year being 2009, just in case you guys forgot where we were on the timeline. Throughout the year, she appeared occasionally for live performances and released a single. She ended the year by singing Minna Sora no Shita at Kohaku as her last live performance. Now, I actually remember watching this on TV in the most ghetto way possible. I remember I was on Skype with my friend, and she took the camera, pointed it toward the TV, and I watched the entire Kohaku with her and her family via webcam. Good times, good times. Although Ayaka went on hiatus, she was still taking care of work on a business side. Ayaka and her husband ended their contract with Warner Music Japan in March of 2011 and made 3 major announcements. The first being, she created an official Twitter account. Meh. Secondly, she would be returning from hiatus in 2012. And thirdly, she would be creating her own independent record label named A Station. And even though she announced she would be returning from hiatus in 2012, she surprised many when she made an appearance on Music Station on December 23, 2011. On top of that, she performed 2 new songs, Yasashi Ao and Hajimari no Toki. And she kept the hype going when she performed at Kohaku again, singing the same song as her last appearance on Kohaku, Minna Sora no Shita. And of course, personally, I was very happy Ayaka was returning, but as a person living in the States, getting access to Ayaka's content was difficult, to say the least. In 2012, most videos for Ayaka were exclusive to Gyao, which was basically Yahoo's version of Nico Nico Doga and YouTube. I mean, you'd think it'd be easy to have access to Ayaka's content because it's all online now, but Japan being Japan, they basically region locked all her content. Being an Ayaka fan, my only way of accessing her content was through torrents or YouTube. Regardless of my personal struggles of trying to get Ayaka's music, on February 1st, Ayaka released her 3rd album, The Beginning, which was the first album she released under her own label. Now, I will admit, this isn't my favorite album out there, but there was one song in particular I loved, and that was Hajimari no Toki. Also, fun fact, did you know there is an English version of Hajimari no Toki? It actually released on her 11th single. Ayaka did more than just write her own music. She also wrote music for other musicians. For example, she wrote a song for Shizuka Kudo's new single called Kimi ga Kureta Mono. Moving to 2013, Ayaka continued releasing singles with her 11th single called Beautiful / Chisana Ashiato. This was actually her first single in 3.5 years. On May 31st, 2013, Ayaka announced she would start her nationwide tour called Ayaka Live Tour 2013 Fortune Cookie Nani ga Dekiru Kana. In 2014, it was a great time for all Ayaka fans because Ayaka released the greatest song of all time for her, and that was called Niji-iro. I'm being honest, that is actually my opinion, but regardless, it is just an amazing song. It's lighthearted, it makes you feel good. The music video is just so cute and happy and go-lucky. I love it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any sales numbers on this single. However, I do know her third album, Rainbow Road, was ranked 3rd on the Oricon charts, and that album includes Niji-iro. So I'm actually going to stop right here. I think this is a great breaking point for part 2. With that being said, what do you guys think of Ayaka? Do you love her? Do you hate her? What is your favorite song? You already know the standard questions. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below. It's important to communicate and talk about these kind of things. If you liked the video, be sure to obliterate the like button. If you loved it, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, that would be great because, I post there occasionally. And speaking of posting, I do post videos on my channel every week. At least I will be doing that again now that, as you can see, I am settled into my new living space. And with that being said, enjoy life, enjoy music. Peace.